Good afternoon and welcome to my channel. Allow me to introduce myself. I am known as the Morning Dew Academic, or that's what I'm referring to myself. I have labeled my YouTube channel the Morning Dew Academic, and also I have created a blog known as the Morning Dew Academic, and I will post my blog link down below. But for those of you interested in my blog, it is at morningdewacademic.blogspot.com. So that once again is morningdewacademic.blogspot.com. And what I would like to introduce you to on this channel is, as some of you who may have come to my channel last year, this started off as a booktube channel, and it is still going to be that. I will be sharing book reports and book hauls, information about books. But I am going in a different direction. I am a longtime academic. I do have my degree in education. And I, at the moment in my life, am going to be embarking on my own self-study. I guess you would call it like a degree program. And basically what I am referring to it as is as the DIY graduate studies. Initially, I was going to do the DIY Ph.D. However, there is another YouTuber who has a program with the DIY Ph.D., and I will try to remember to link their channel down below because they go into greater detail on what they offer. They do offer courses for anybody interested in doing their own Ph.D. So my program now is DIY Graduate Studies, and this basically is going to entail a master's or a couple of masters and PhD studies. So through the course of my studies, I will be doing a couple of master's thesis and also a PhD dissertation. But it doesn't end there, in my opinion. It's lifelong learning as well. And as I've explained, I did go to traditional college. I also did do a full online degree as well. So I have been through the brick and mortar college, and I have also been through the online university, and I do actually have my degree. And I love the university and college setting. I have great respect for that. But I also know myself, I am a high introvert. I also am an autodidact and a Renaissance soul, and I will be coming on and going greater detail into those terms and my research on what all that entails, and also how that pertains to me as an individual and how this might be able to help others like myself come to realize that they also have these character traits as well. Traditional college is wonderful, and I would highly advocate that for anybody. But I also am going to be sharing my own self-study course here. This YouTube channel is a place to educate all of you, as well as to journal my own journey as I go forward into my own course. So let me just move a couple things out of the way. And let me show you my pad here. I have been now using Notion for keeping track of all of my notes, and also my very lengthy book list, which will ultimately, as I get further into the PhD, this will be part of my literature review. Basically, right now at the point in my life, at present, I do not have the means to return to college and get a master's or a PhD. And I will go into pros and cons of going to college versus what I will call self-teaching, which is different than self-study. And I will also go into both of those terms as well in another video. But I am basically self-teaching a master's based program as well as a PhD based program. The areas in which I am interested in are, as some of you may or may not know, I am interested in eventually writing fiction books, historical romance as well as historical fiction. But I am also highly interested in studying the brain, neurology, how we learn, epistemology. I'm also interested in studying the psychology aspects of the brain. I did a lot of research in my education degree on child development and educational psychology. So learning is a big it's a great interest for me, how we learn, how some people have a greater interest in learning. I want to do further research on individuals who spend hours and years studying, and those of us who are lifelong learners as well. What is it about us that draws us and that drive, I guess you will say, to continue to learn the rest of your life, where others, when they get out of high school, it's like, do they ever pick up another book even to just read? There are many people that never pick up a book again. So I have a lot of interest in learning the neurological, the psychological, and as a greater society, the sociological aspects of learning and education. The traditional education system versus something like homeschooling or self-teaching, what have you. And there are a lot of individuals going into the DIY route nowadays. You will see online, you will see a lot of online MOOCs. There are now these Udemy classes, Coursera. There's a lot of different online courses that people teach as well as take. So the online learning and the self-learning DIY path is starting to become more known and more prevalent in our modern society, where years ago this may or may not have been the case. So getting back to my own self-teaching course, self-study course, this is going to be at the heart of my PhD dissertation. I will be actually writing a thorough research and adding to the knowledge base that is already out there. I will be creating novel research. In my master's areas, that will be a Master's of Fine Arts in Creative Writing. And I am also going to be embarking on English literature and history, as in my area, obviously, historical romance and historical fiction are very important. So I will be studying most especially England's history, particularly the Regency and Victorian eras, but there may be other areas of history I delve into as well as I go forward. So another area of my self-study is, in addition to this YouTube channel and my blog, which I do intend to utilize as teaching tools for all of you, to teach you about the university structure, how you actually go the traditional route. And in that, I want to help high school students that are looking into going into college. I want to eventually offer tutoring services for the SAT, the ACT, and the variety of AP courses that are out there. That is one of my goals, is to eventually offer tutoring services to high school students who are embarking on going the traditional college and university route and do need these courses in order to get into college or university, or choose to take those courses in order to expedite their studies. When you take an AP course, you end up if you pass the exam, you get credit and therefore do not have to take that course again in university, and therefore it's essentially paid for by your high school, with the exception of the exam. So that is something that helps students save money, which is very important, as we will tackle the money issue of college and university. And also that is another pro for many people wanting to teach themselves or to learn from home versus going to an actual college or university, or they prefer to take a course, for example, in computer science off of Udemy or something that is a lot cheaper, rather than going through a whole entire degree program. So we will delve into that. But as for my own self, that is basically what I intend to do, is basically getting the same level amount of college education here at home that I would if I were to enroll in a college university. And taking my experience of having already been through a college university and having a degree, I feel I have the expertise and the experience to know what to do in order to get that level. Will I end up with a degree at the end? Obviously not. But I will end up with the same amount, or possibly even more, education under my belt, more knowledge. My knowledge base will grow exponentially because of the areas I have chosen to study, the areas I have chosen to research. I'm just adjusting my light here a little bit. So this is going to be a very long journey. This is not looking at doing this in 1 or 2 years. I will be doing basically the master's about approximately 2 to 3 years, which is the average of a master's degree. And in the US, at least approximately 6 to 7 years for a PhD. Many times people can expedite that quicker here in the US now. But on average, to get a PhD here in the US, it takes approximately 6 to 7 years. So approximately anywhere between 8 to 10 years these next years I will be studying. Of course, if I finish sooner, that's awesome. But I'm giving myself this lengthier time frame so that I can truly delve deep into my subject matter. Now, what I have set up for myself is I've mapped out already what I want to study. This may change as time goes on. I may add new things, but I would say probably for the past year and a half, I have really been seriously focusing on this and really delving deep into embarking on this study. I will admit at first, this started off as just writing craft in order to write my novels. But over time, this evolved into actual master's and PhD level because I love researching, I love educating people, and I will come back on another time and share my story. But this just evolved, and I've put a lot of time and effort into really thinking about this and creating my course, the course material that I intend to use, the resource books. And this is something I would advise all of you to do who are embarking on a self education course. And I will come back on and give you're going to get loads of tips and advice on this. And I will go over with you very detailed how I went about designing my course. I'm not going to do all of that today. I'm just going to give you a brief overview and introduce you to this journey. And future videos will dive deep into this. But I would advise you to take the time to really think about the two options you have: going to traditional college or a tech school or a community college, or embarking on your own self-education, which fits your lifestyle. Both I feel are great. There are pros and cons to both, but I would take at least a good, don't just jump into either or. Take a few months and really think about it and really decide. If you have decided on the college route, I will be back with many more videos on the college route, how you get into college, whether that is undergrad, graduate, what have you. I will go over all of those steps, but I will also go over with you all of the steps to creating a self-education plan. That is what I, at this particular stage in my life for graduate studies, have chosen to do, is a self-education plan. So, to give you a brief overview, as I've said, I will be basically getting the equivalent of 2 masters and a PhD, possibly 2 PhDs. We'll see as time goes on. But there are subject matters that I will be studying, and for example, one area is preparing for the master's and the PhD. This basically gives me some resources to study, to really delve into what would you do to prepare for self-study as well as the traditional route. Then we're going to also dive into productivity and personal development. Personally, I think all students should learn some, have a fair knowledge base in productivity, especially if you're going the self-education route. Productivity, time management, personal development, that's very important. So that is one subject matter I will be diving into. Also, learning and study habits. This is also important. What you may have learned in high school may not be, and this is important for both, whether you're going to the university route or the self-education route. This is vitally important to understand learning and study habits. So I have these 3 subject matter. Then after that, I'm going to be going into mathematics, sciences, for example, biology, psychology, and then your social sciences, which will delve deep into history, sociology, etc. Or I guess you could say humanities, social sciences / humanities, because it's going to, kind of involve both there. And then we get into the actual writing craft area, and this is going to be literature, English, and writing craft. That's one subject area. Then I'm going to be also studying Regency and Victorian history. And then we get into the more author side of things. We get into the editing, self-publishing, author platform, those business side, and actually preparing your novels, whether they are nonfiction, whether they are fiction, to be published, self-published. That's the route I have chosen, is to self-publish. So, first section, what I will be doing is taking these subject matters and breaking them down into 3 subject matters. The first one will be preparing for the master's and PhD, one subject, productivity and personal development, and then learning and study habits. And then what I will do is I plan to, Mondays and Tuesdays, study subject 1. Wednesdays and Thursdays, study subject 2. Fridays and Saturdays, study subject 3. Whether that is reading, note-taking, whichever stage of studying I'm at, that's what I will do on those days. Sundays, I believe everybody, even including PhD students, I know it's a rough road out there, but I believe everybody needs a day off. Sundays are days for me to be with my family, days for me to relax and rest, read some fiction books. Yes, Sundays, unless I've been sick in the week or something of that nature, then I will add in an extra study day, but primarily my Sundays are days to rest. And just ignore this little message up here if you're seeing this. It's just my pad is old, so, but Notion still works on it. So, and as I said, I will also be diving into the AP, the SAT. I also have even books on like high school biology, Unlocked. I'll be going back through these. I have AP books. The reason why I'm doing this is eventually to be able to help students dive into those exams and study those exams and prepare for college. So I will be studying all of that. As a teacher, you need to be familiar with the text you're going to teach. So, and it's been quite a few years since I've had any of those tests or courses. Okay, so my goal is also to, depending on the size of the book, but this does not have to be something set in place. This is a very flexible program, but strive to read approximately one book a week. So approximately get through about 50 books a year. Now, my goal is to study for 50 weeks. There will be 2 weeks I will take off, and I will not do studying during those 2 weeks. One at Christmas and one at the end of the spring before summer begins. Basically, I'm splitting up the end of the year. Every 6 months, basically, I get a week break. Because again, I think your body as well as your mind, your social, people talk about mental health. I do not have any mental issues, but that doesn't mean that we all don't get tired. It doesn't mean that we all don't have things come up in the air. We all socially, mentally, physically need breaks. So whether you're in college, whether you're a self-study, whether you're at home, you're just still a high school student, you need breaks. Take the breaks and enjoy them. So 50 weeks out of the year, I plan to study. Then I will take 2 weeks to have a break, Christmas and before summer begins. At the end of all of this, like I said, I would like to start my tutoring services. Maybe not at the end of all of this. That may even come sooner. Some nonfiction, for example, some study guides, some nonfiction books may come sooner, but ultimately at the very end, I will have completed for sure a novel researched Ph.D. dissertation. I know the questions already I want to answer. There are probably going to be others that come up in my mind that I want to research, and as I delve into the research, who knows, maybe this will change. I don't know. I haven't yet done the research. So, but basically, to publish, and I do want to eventually turn my PhD dissertation into a book, as well as other study guides and other nonfiction books along the way. I also would like to thoroughly outline, I already have some of my outline done for my novels, but thoroughly outline my novels. I think it's like 5 book series that I have been working on over the past few years, but nothing has come of them officially yet. I have already created a blog, which I will be journaling my process here, sharing with you, educating you. I will actually be doing very detailed research on my blog. So again, check out that blog link down below, and you can go on there and read a little more about why I'm embarking on this journey. So basically, as I've said, as we get further into this, I have what I call my overarching subject. For this summer, I have some novel reading I'm doing. I do review for a few publishing houses. So intermingled in here are going to always be review books, but we're going to be embarking on preparing for a PhD. There are a couple of these books I have already read, just to give you an idea of some of the books I've chosen. For example, Earning a Master's Degree Through Reading, How to Become a Professor, Hacking Your Education Better Than College, Essay Writing Skills, Essay Writing, Professor's Guide to Essay Writing. We're going to look into the dissertation journey, writing a doctorate literature review. We're going to go into research, referencing citation and bibliography guide, the craft of research, doing academic research, etc. On writing well, why we read like a writer, how to read literature like a professor, etc. We're going to be getting into a lot of those topics under this. There's a lot of books I will be reading. I don't know total how many. There's well over 100 books, probably several hundreds. Then we're going to delve into about the polymath. That is something I'm going to come on and share with all of you, but I'm going to be reading some books on the polymath, study skills, For those of us embarking on DIY college, we're going to be reading the DIY MFA. MFA, How to Rock a Low Residency MFA, DIY degree, the 1-year diploma. Also, I'm going to review, book reviewing. There are some, books in here that I guess you could look at them as like taking an elective course. They may be something that I just have an interest in, and that would be your electives in university. Again, we're going to come back on and really delve deep into how I set this all up and why I chose the subject matter and the books and everything that I did. So then next we're going to get into productivity, and I broke these down into subcategories: habits and deep work, productivity, beat procrastination. There are loads of books here, guys. Philosophy of the mind, self-learning and study skills. And there's a couple things I'm going to be just skimming. And then after that is all done, we're going to go into a whole nother section, which involves science, math, and social sciences. So the science, the reason why I'm doing this is because I want to study neurology. I want to study psychology, the brain. So I want to review biology. I was a biology major as well as an education major. I had a lot of these courses already. However, I want to review things in addition to also being able to tutor high school students and college students out there, but also to just refresh my memory. And also mathematics. This is one area you're going to see loads of books when we get to them. But in here in social sciences, humanities, we have like world geography, we have US history, we have American government. There's a lot of things in here. Your psychology or psychology texts, what have you. AP, this is where some of the AP stuff is going to be added in. But mathematics is one area. This is part of my own degree program, but this is also an additional personal study because I have always struggled with mathematics. I did ace my statistics class, but it took a lot of work, a lot of work. But I do not want to be afraid of mathematics anymore. And one thing I'm going to read prior to going into the math area is A Mind for Numbers by Barbara Oakley. She used to be, much like myself, afraid of math, didn't like math, struggled with math. Well, she ended up becoming an engineer and now teaches engineering. I don't want to say it's chemical engineering, but I forget exactly what. But she definitely does teach engineering. And she learned to overcome her fears of math because she learned a different way of doing math. So I am going to be taking myself back to the very basics of mathematics, all the way down to even some of the high school level math. I'm going to review some of the middle school maths out there because if I get a student that would like to be tutored, hey, great, I can tutor you. But pre-algebra, algebra, we're going to go into the trigonometry, the calculus, and then all of this is going to be intermingled with chemistry and physics when we get into those levels. I have taken chemistry in the past, but I need to refresh my memory on a lot of that. Then we're going to delve into the brain. This is where we start to really dive into, after we get through some of the biology and anatomy and chemistry and all that, I'm going to be diving into neurology. And this is just a small group of some of the books. There are some others I have on my wish list, so to speak, but these are some very strong books, texts that will help me into neurology, cognitive neuroscience and memory, the brain, the victorious mind, clinical neurology and neuroanatomy. We're going to dive deep into that. So then we're going to start into the writing craft area. Here's where we're going to get into plot and structure. We have a load of different books. For example, John Gardner on Becoming a Novelist, Dine on Writing, a lot of books on writing. Then we go into dialogue and setting. I like to have a main category and then we break it down into subcategories, just like you would in college. And I will pull out like a standard college program and give you guys an idea of, how to compare and contrast, how to create your own self-study plan. So anyhow, we go into dialogue and setting. For example, writing active settings, show don't tell, understanding conflict. Then we get into characters, creating character arcs, characters, emotion, viewpoint, outlining. Then writing a specific romance. Editing and revision is a whole nother area, which is, you gotta understand here, you're gonna delve deep into English grammar, going back to the basics. Well, maybe not too basic but a lot of grammar books. Then diving into self-publishing. And I do realize by the time I get to this, some of this may be outdated information. I may have to update my book list as time goes on, or still read these texts, but then go and learn other texts. We'll see as that time goes on. Then our author platform and marketing, and then some writing miscellaneous areas, which, for example, like the writer's process, self-discipline for writers, just an area that's kind of a mix of different things, more so the actual writer yourself, how to take care of yourself as a writer, perhaps how to create a schedule. You've got all the concrete educational stuff under your belt. Now let's take care of you, the writer. Okay, then we're going to dive into England, Regency, and Victorian history. I have loads of books on England's history, a lot of things on Jane Austen, Charles Dickens, English country houses, the English village. And then as time goes on, once the hardcore of the Ph.D., I have some things that deal with, maybe even some other subject matter such as astronomy, nanoscience, microeconomics, macroeconomics, atomic molecular, different things like that, business areas that could help as an author, what have you. But yeah, this is, as you can see, I've already even mapped out the years. Again, this is very flexible. That is what I love about this system. This is something I am doing in my spare time, for myself, to educate myself. I do want to write my books, nonfiction and fiction, so that is the ultimate goal. But I want to continue to educate my mind, and I have already begun doing some research. I'm doing research on, I will be actually going through the internet and collecting information on, topics that I want to bring up on my blog, that I want to share with you guys, things I want to talk about. I will be, I've got information on autodidacts. I'm going to be, putting this out here to you guys. Are you an autodidact? What is an autodidact? All kinds of wonderful things to come. Also, for both self-studiers or self-educators, as well as traditional college, university route. Basically, my channel is becoming books and education. That's why I call myself the Morning Dew Academic. And basically, the reason why I like that name is, first of all, I love the mornings. I have always loved, even when I was a little child, the dew fresh on the grass in the morning. I love that time of the day. That is my most favorite time to study, to read, to research. And being in the world of academia as an educator, and continuing to be an educator on here, on my blog, and in real life. So, and as for just a little bit of personal background, I do work. I work for a small publishing house, and I do editing, and I'm a publicist, so I do that. And so I will also share how you can do self-study or college. When I was in college, both times actually, I worked. The first time when I was at the brick and mortar school, I went to school during the year, but I worked during the summer, and I made enough money to be able to get myself through the year. But my second round of going into education, I worked as I was taking courses. I was taking online courses. So I am familiar with that format. And that's the same with this. I will work in the mornings, and then I will come upstairs, and as some of you may have seen, I've already done some study with me videos. You will be getting more of those. I start reading, I start taking notes, I start studying. That's how I spend my afternoons and my evenings. So it can be done. You can get a degree, or you can do it yourself. So, all right, I will have much more to come, and I thank you so much for joining me, and be looking forward to more information on do-it-yourself education versus college education, autodidact, just loads more coming. I will have tons of educational content as well as book reviews and study with me videos. So thank you guys so much for joining me. I hope you have a wonderful morning, afternoon, or evening. And if you are studying, best of luck with your studies. Till next time, bye-bye.